Alrighty, well, this is my first video for my channel, and I thought I was going to start off strong with a Star Wars, my own personal Star Wars tier list. I'm going to be ranking the movies and the shows. If I miss anything, it's probably because I haven't watched it and I don't care about it. But let's just get into the video. Starting off strong with the movies. Phantom Menace. Ooh, that one probably C tier, honestly. Uh, I watch it. I think it's fine, but the only reason I really watched this movie is because of the fight between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan at the very end. I think that fight scene is like S tier, puts it up right up here, but the rest of the movie is just kind of meh, you know, meh. So, yeah, I'm putting it in C tier. Attack the Clones probably will go up a little bit higher. I think it's probably a much more entertaining movie to watch, if nothing else, for those Anakin and Padme scenes on Naboo. There is some things with it structurally as a movie that I don't really like that much, but I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It's B tier. It's fine. All right, Revenge of the Sith. Now, this one is definitely A tier. I actually genuinely do watch this. I genuinely enjoy watching this movie. I think it's very, very good. Um, just I'm very entertained throughout the whole entire movie. I think it's just great. I don't have to say anything else besides that. A New Hope. Honestly, A New Hope is probably S tier in terms of the movie because it's the goat, it's the greatest of all time. But I just feel like it's more of like an A tier movie. Um, Hold on, let me think about this actually. Hmm. I think I'll go S tier. Yeah, I'll go S tier. It's a really good movie. It's not the flashiest, obviously, out of all the six movies and stuff like that, but I put it up there. Empire Strikes Back, S tier, easy. I'll put it on S tier. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite Star Wars movie. I think it's the best structured. I know a lot of people like Revenge of the Sith and call it the best Star Wars movie, but I think Empire Strikes Back is just so great. It's like a home cooked meal. Awesome. Like it's simple, it's impactful, and it hits. Every single scene is just amazing. I freaking love Empire Strikes Back. So I will put it on S tier. Revenge or Return of the Jedi, that's gonna go A tier. I do really like Return of the Jedi. I think the scenes between Luke and Vader are amazing. I think his interactions with also the Emperor are also amazing. The only reason it's not going to S tier is because I have to acknowledge the Ewoks. The Ewoks are unfortunate in that caliber of a movie, but it's still a good movie. I still like it. I still like it. All right, now we're getting to Disney Star Wars trash. I'm going to be honest, I'm a big Disney Star Wars hater. There's not much that they've ever produced that I really like. So, just this might be more of a speed run, but The Acolyte is F tier. This show sucked booty cheeks. It was terrible. The characters were terrible. The only people I liked about it was the guy, the Korean guy from Squid Games, and the villain. I forgot their names, but they were the only two parts about the movie or the show, I mean, that I really really liked. It was just but everything else was really bad. Acting, the action was pretty okay actually. I think overall the action scenes were pretty great, but even still, it was just it was pretty bad. All right, Ahsoka. Ahsoka is another F tier for me. I did not like Ahsoka. I know there's gonna be people saying, "Oh, what about the episodes with Anakin in the Clone Wars?" That was cool, I guess, because it was a nice little flash. I got to see a little bit of Clone Wars in live action, which I like to think is a good idea, but also probably isn't, because if they ever did that, Disney would just screw up tremendously with it. But Ahsoka was pretty F tier. I this might come as a hot take, but I think most of the characters in the Clone Wars, and like we'll get to Rebels as well, Rebels, Bad Batch, all these other shows down here, uh I think most of those characters just should have died in the prequels cuz the if you know, if I'm going to dive into Star Wars continuity, which is just a mess overall, the Star Wars continuity and timelines are just it's abysmal to keep track of. Even like with the extent expanded lore and with Disney Star Wars, it's just a mess through and through. But with the Clone Wars TV show and all the characters that came out of that specifically, a lot of them just should have died because it's like, where were you guys when the Empire was around killing billions of people, messing everything up, right? Like, where was Ahsoka, who's like this gray Jedi or whatever that means? Who's, you know, I know people. I think in Rebels they give an explanation of why, but there's still tons of other characters where it's like, what were they doing? Like, were they helping? Right? Were they just like in the background? It's kind of like Captain Marvel in most of the MCU, where they just kind of had to write her as like she's off in space doing something because she was because if she was on Earth when all the events of the Avengers happened, everything would have been solved because she's like super overpowered. But anyways, Ahsoka, really bad show. Did not like it. I can't believe they're making a second season. I might watch that. That's probably gonna be terrible. But moving on to Andor. All right, I might make a separate video about Andor entirely, but this is what I will say. Season 1 is S tier material. Okay? It's great. Well, it's probably S tier material, I should say, but it would probably go in A tier because I think the one criticism about the show that I think is valid is that it is very slow. With that being said, it's still a great show. I enjoyed the first season very, very much. So I think it's probably S tier, but if I'm being fair and realistic, the first season would go into the A tier slot because it is slow, but the second season is really bad. it's Again, I might make a separate video about that entirely, but the second season's really bad. like it's it's kind of a stinker. I know a lot of people like the second season and praise it a lot, but it is not that good. It is it's a it's a pretty bad show. Again, most of it comes down to personal preferences and storytelling. Um, I think that the time skipping is really bad storytelling because things happen in between the years that we don't see, and it's like, oh, it would be nice to see how Lupin, how he grew apart from Mon Mothma or the Rebellion Order or whatever. Or I don't even know why they were fighting most of the time, to be honest. I don't know why there's such. I don't know why in the rebellion seemed less unified against the Empire because you had so many factions battling against the Empire, and it's like you'd think that the rebellion would first try to solidify uh, companionships and treaties and and friends and allies. That's the word, allies, to fight against this empire that's super unified and centralized. But they just don't. They just have so many factions. I hate Saw Gerrera. This is gonna be a side tangent, but I also I'll probably if I do make a video about Andor season 2, I'll probably talk about Saw Gerrera a little bit because I freaking hate him. I think he's a terrible character. I well, not just a terrible character. I guess he's a well put character. I guess he's structured well, and the fact that I hate him so much and the way they made his character, I don't know. I just for me terrible. I hate Saw Gerrera. I think he's just a retard. I just didn't like him that much. Anyways, so back to the ranking. Andor, it's probably B tier. I'll put it above, I guess, Attack of the Clones. I guess again, first season is probably S tier, A tier material. The second season's probably D, like D. But I'll go fair and I'll kind of split even. I'll split the difference and put it in B. Force Awakens, oh man, F tier. I know people like this movie a lot, but I think it's just terrible. It's just a ripoff of A New Hope, plain and simple, and they don't even do it as well as A New Hope. They they have like some good starters for characters like for Ray, for Finn, and for Poe, but nothing comes out of it. I think the basis of their three characters would have been great in the new trilogy, but they just fricked it up. And I think JJ really screwed up some of the world building aspects because it's like, where's the rebellion, or not the rebellion, where's the republic, the new republic in all of this? They just get destroyed on these five planets and that's it. And that kind of carries over into the other movies where it's like, wait, the new republic just died, like it was the dominant force for like 40 years. How, was it really just contained on these five like rinky dink planets or whatever? But anyways, that might be another whole entire video. But yeah, it's, I don't like it. It's pretty bad. Obi-Wan Kenobi, really bad too. I don't get how people praise this movie. They even praise the fight scenes with like at the very final fight scene with Vader and Obi-Wan. They're just like, "Oh, it's so good." But no, it's pretty bad. The lighting and the shaky cam and the choreography was nothing compared to like the prequels era of Star Wars, like of lightsaber fights. It's just it's really bad movie. I don't really want to say any more about that. Uh, Rise of Skywalker, really bad movie. But the memes, oh, what about the memes coming out of it were pretty good though. The memes might elevate it to D tier, honestly. Hmm. Nah, it's F tier. It's still F tier. Yeah, it's that's where it belongs. Rogue One. Yeah, if you could pick up on what I was putting down with Andor, you probably know I'm not gonna put a high ranking for Rogue One. I don't really like Rogue One. I think it has. I think the idea of Rogue One would have been really good, but the execution was just really bad. I also don't know why Jyn Erso is like the main character in the movie because she just doesn't really do anything. She's kind of just dragged along on the adventure, and she's kind of forced to do it against her will. She doesn't really care about anything until at the very end. She cares about the rebellion really deeply, and she's like, she has that big speech in the room where it's like, "We're a rebellion. We're rebellions are based on hope," and it's just like, lady, you weren't a part of this rebellion until 2 seconds ago, apparently. Like, why are you talking about you're like this veteran or something? Like, the movie really should have been focused on Andor, which I think is why they made a show about him, which I think was a good call. Because if you watch the show, Andor is really the only like character with development. But anyways, with that being said, I really don't like it. It's shot well, but there's it's probably it's C tier. I'll put it on C tier. I don't really like Rogue One that much. I think it has a lot of problems. Solo, Solo's probably D. I'll put it in D. It's just kind of forgettable schlop, honestly. It's kind of boring. I don't know. Just I haven't watched it since I was a teenager, so I don't plan to watch it anytime soon. Oh, if you hadn't noticed, I made this one bracket of haven't watched because there's a lot of this I haven't watched. So, Star Wars Rebels, haven't watched it. I can't even, so I'm not going to rank it. That doesn't mean necessarily that it's below F tier. I want to put that out there, but it just means I haven't watched it because just don't have any interest in it, and I don't really care. So yeah. Anyways, the Tales of the Empire. Yeah, I haven't watched that. Tales of the Jedi. I haven't watched that. I've seen clips of both of these here and there, and it just doesn't seem like it interests me. Bad Batch. I watched the first couple episodes of the first season of Bad Batch, but then I didn't stick around because it didn't really enthrall me. So I guess the episodes I did watch would have been like C tier, but I still would consider it. I haven't watched it yet. Boba Fett. Boba Fett. I didn't watch that because I wasn't gonna waste my time. Clone Wars. So my thoughts about, I'll give a speed run of my thoughts about Clone Wars. I think it's a I think it's like an anime where there's good arcs and there's bad arcs, and so to rank those individual arcs would be, would they'd be all over the place because some arcs are really good, some arcs are really bad. I think overall, I think I enjoyed it much more as a kid, but rewatching it as an adult, It's probably gonna go in B tier. Again, a lot of there's a lot of problems with Clone Wars in terms of like its character surviving. Ahsoka should have died, or she should have just let when she left the Jedi Order. I think it's in the seventh season or something, or the sixth season. She should it just that what should have been the end of her character, but then they brought her back and everything. I this the last season, even I think it's season 8 or season 7, I forget, that they did recently, like a couple years ago. Even that had problems with it with the last season. So yeah, Clone Wars is probably in B tier. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. Last Jedi. Last Jedi is a you guys would crash out if I just put it at the top. No, it's F tier. It's so bad. I think the only two redeeming qualities of the movie of the Last Jedi is the fact that Ray was not going to have any ties or connections to previous characters. She was just going to be a new character. She wasn't going to be a Skywalker, a Kenobi, uh, freaking whatever people's theories were about who her parents were. I think that was pretty interesting, where it was like she just came from nothing and she's like a brand new character. I think that would have been interesting, but obviously the Rise of Skywalker just killed that idea, just put it down like an old dog. And then the other thing I think was really interesting was actually Kylo Ren's his perspective of just letting the Sith and the Jedi die. I think that was actually really interesting because I've been reading a lot of the Star Wars Legends books, like the New Republic and the Old Republic books, and I might go into that might also be another video as well. But basically, in all of Star Wars lore, you just have these like cycles of violence, of giant wars, of the Jedi, establish peace, and then you have the Sith rise up, or a rogue Jedi breaks off from the Jedi Order, becomes a Sith, and starts his own empire of Sith and like dark side user Force users, and then they rebel. You have massive battles that go on for years and years and years and kill billions of people, and then because the Sith are so corrupt within themselves, the Jedi use that to their advantage because the Jedi are always united to keep the peace and fight for the innocent, but then the Sith are just hungry for power. And so that's what ultimately leads to their destruction, which is why you have Darth Bane, the Darth Bane trilogy books. I'm reading the second one right now. I freaking love that stuff. But anyways, so I think Kylo at the end of tens of thousands of years of Republic history, just being like, man, the Jedi and the Sith are just the problems for everything because the Jedi establish peace, and then one of their members goes rogue, and then starts a Sith empire, and then there's a battle, and so it's like you have to save the universe by getting rid of the Jedi and the Sith. Now, obviously, he doesn't. That's not his reasonings in the movie for doing that. He just says that he needs to let the past die, which is fine. But if they had gone that route, I think that would have been much more interesting. Where it's like Kylo's almost like a pseudo hero, where he's like sort of like Eren Yeager, where he's like he has to like destroy some things to let the rest of humanity survive, which I think is pretty interesting. But obviously they didn't go that route because the Rise of Skywalker came in and just retconned and destroyed all the plot points that Ryan Johnson had set up. Now, granted, the movie is still really bad, but anyways, that's something I really like. Those are some of the redeeming qualities of the movie, but it's still an F tier. It's just really, really bad. I'll just skip on to Visions. Have only watched a couple episodes of it, but I would still consider it. I haven't watched it, so I don't really care. But the couple episodes I watched were pretty okay. I mean, it's a fine idea for them taking different art styles and different storylines and making episodes on that, which was it was fine. It was pretty creative, but it just didn't really interest me. And now on to the Mandalorian. Mandalorian's probably D tier. It's probably D tier, honestly. The the first the first season I thought was really overrated. Like it was fine, but the first season of Mandalorian was okay, but it wasn't anything special. I actually like the second season more, but even the second season was super boring. It was just yeah, I don't know what I. The Mandalorian was a really cool concept and a really cool idea, but they just didn't go anywhere with it. And then you had the third season. I haven't even watched the third season. I wasn't even gonna bother with that. So yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, so that's my tier ranking. I don't know. Let me know if you think what you think in the comments in the video, stuff like that. I think this is probably the best Star Wars tier list out there. Obviously biased, but yeah, I don't know if you like the video, then just like it. You know, it's my first one, so trying to start out strong. But yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.